Alright, I want to do a little bit more detailing on our map orientation here. And on this particular map, what I'd like to do is to add a grid. Now you need to be a little bit careful with the grid. I've had this crash the program a fair number of times. And what you're doing is you're selecting an interval here in the X location and Y location for the grid, and you can see what it's done is it's shown up over here in terms of every 2,000. So if I make this 1,000, you'll see that it doubles the density. So you don't want to overpower your map here, but it may be helpful to give an orientation of size on there just to help your viewers to get kind of a look. The other thing is drawing the coordinates. The coordinates that are not on there basically don't give you much information at all. But if you do put the coordinates on there, what it does is it does give you some representation around the edges, and you can adjust some of their factors. Usually this precision will be set to 3 at the beginning, which kind of doesn't look very well, so I reduce the precision down to 0, and that tends to look a little bit better for me there. You can stretch the distance they are kind of away from the map or to the map to what suits a visual pleasure there. Okay, so we've got that's kind of the information that we're interested in. Now somehow we have to tell folks what this is, and that's a legend. So we're going to click on this and come up here to the layout and put in a legend. Looks like we have some space for a legend up here. Now you'll notice what our legend has. It has a bunch of things that really just don't quite look very well. So if we look over here, since this is active now, that's the item properties. It has the title, and we can do some things around here. We just click on this and remove it. Click on Alaska and remove it. And now we're getting down there to kind of what we want. And in this case, maybe we don't even need to have a title on there at all. So just saying that these are the trees, give us a feeling of what's really happening there. So where you put this may be kind of whatever your interest is. I've kind of got this tight over here, so I might be tempted to place this in some other area. I've kind of got things squished down here a little bit, so I may try to move this up a little bit, which means that these guys here would need to be moved. Well, that's kind of getting there. We may want to give some folks an idea of scale. So I'm going to click on this particular map and go up to the layout and add a scale bar. I might put my scale bar down across the bottom. And you can see it's come up in kilometers, which maybe I'm not crazy about. So let me change this to map units and change the unit to miles. The scale bar I've changed to map units, labeled as a mile, and I've got 5280 here for units, and down here units as well. And notice my scale bar goes to the left, which I really don't want to do that. I'll just change that to 0. So now I've got a scale bar that kind of looks pretty decent. Okay, so I've got a scale there at that point. I may want to put a north arrow on. And so that would be inserting a image. And we're going to insert an image in this area, so it's blank at this moment. But what I'd like to do is come over here, and it's a little bit hidden. But if you click there, search the directories. And this takes a little bit of time to load up. But it'll load up our SVG graphics that we have available to use. And there's our north arrow. Okay, so you scroll around and you can search these different directories, and actually if you want you can go out and find an image in your own directory. Any JPEG can be brought in at this point, so maybe handy if you want to bring a picture of something in. This is my cabin or what have you. But I'm going to just pick the north arrow, and there we go. And it's, you don't want it to really overpower, so we'll kind of set the north arrow in there. Lastly, we may want to put a title in, so come up and add a label. And now the label is lit up, starts out saying QGIS, but we may say this would be the title of our graph. We can change the fonts of these. Make it large, change the size, change the style, so on and so forth. Change the color. And you can see we've got kind of part of it lit up, and all we have to do is just stretch this a bit. I kind of like the alignment of center and middle. Oops, spelled it wrong. And all of these have got, just a lot of things you can add around them. You could add a frame, for example, if you wanted to doctor it up, and if you wanted to add a background and put a light, perhaps a light color behind it just to set it off a little bit. You can just make your work look a little more interesting. And so there you go. The other thing that you can do with these labels, so I'm going to insert another label here, is to put some data in here. So I'm going to put this as my name, this is my project, and I'm going to insert in an expression. And so there's a whole list of expressions that you can use in here to programmatically change your labels. And one that's kind of interesting is to put one in here that is now, and what it does is it will place the that's the language of how it's written in there. And so let's see what that's done over here. So it's sort of been my project that has been created at this particular time. And if you notice, time just sort of keeps moving and updates periodically. So we'll save the project, which saves the composer. You'll notice that what we can do is go into a composer manager, and you could create additional composers for the same project, and additionally come up with additional pages. So that's one way to come up with more prints and more pages from the same data. These can be stored in different ways in terms of going to, for example, here and saving it as a template. Okay, so we could save it and go to different concepts. So once you get something that kind of works for you, you can save it and then keep working from there. We can go to our setup here now and export this in many different ways. Most of the time you'll export it as a PDF. So we're going to put this in assignment 9-2. let's name it something, and we'll end up with a PDF image of this that can be turned in or used or published and so on.